Nils Hognestad, Cheyenne Jackson, thank you so much for being with me today. The movie is A Clüsterfünke Christmas. I'm not even sure I can say that on the internet without getting beeped out. Guys, thanks for being with me today. I'm so excited to chat with both of you, and the movie's extremely funny, so I'm really excited to share it with our readers.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Both of you have thriving screen careers right now, so I guess the first question that I had while I was watching this, what made you want to do a Christmas movie parody, which is unto itself a Christmas movie of sorts? What attracted you to this project? Cheyenne, I'll start with you.
Well, a couple of things. First of all, I love holiday films. I love the holidays in and of themselves. It's just a great family fun, warm time. So I've always wanted to do a holiday movie. I've been offered a couple on those channels, and I've never it's never quite been the right fit for me. But I've been friends with Rachel Dratch and Anna Gasteyer for years and years. Rachel longer, and a little less than 3 years ago, she started texting me saying that her and Anna had this idea for a movie, and there's this really funny part. He's a lumberjack. His name's Frank Clusterfunk, and he's a simple guy, and he chops wood. And I was like, okay, that's good. I'm in. You don't have to sell me anymore. I love both of them, and I knew that it would be something that was really funny, kind of twisted, but also lighthearted and good.
And very funny, I would add. Nils, what about for you? And let the record show, by the way, you're a veteran of numerous Christmas movies, having come up to us from Vancouver, I believe.
Exactly, that's so true. Yeah, Vancouver is just rife with a bunch of Christmas movies all the damn time. So I've definitely had my fair share of Christmas movies myself. And when this came through my desk, it said it was a Hallmark for the audition breakdown, and
It
then
did.
it did. They listed it as a Hallmark, and I was reading the script, and I was like, no, 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 this is too funny to be a Hallmark. And I was like, who wrote this? And then I looked and saw Anna Gasteyer and Rachel Dratch. I was like, no, 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 this is not a Hallmark. This is not your typical Christmas movie. So for me, it was a definite dream come true seeing their names on paper and being like, to work with them would just be, oh, I'd be over the moon to do it. And I've been a huge fan of SNL ever since I was young. And so it was really wonderful to be able to have these worlds merge together. It's all been quite surreal and really like a Christmas dream come true, I gotta say.
Oh my gosh, that's so
That's
cool.
that's absolutely fantastic. Cheyenne, you've already alluded to this. You play Frank in the film, opposite Holly, played by Vella Lovell. He's a total lumberjack, hunky kind of guy. He's sort of the idealization of the perfect man, I think. And the question I had for you as a performer looking at it was, when you play an ostensibly perfect character like that, does that make him easier or more difficult to play? Do you find yourself developing more of an elaborate backstory for him?
Uh, it really depends on what the context is. If you're playing somebody that is, the ideal man, but he's, uh, eh, eh, that's his only, service for the story, it's a different thing. In this sense, the way I kind of approached him is that Frank doesn't know that he's handsome. Frank doesn't know that he's hunky, and that everybody, he knows he knows that women find him attractive, but it's not on his mind like that. So he's very insecure. So what was interesting to me was I almost thought of him as like this man child, this like 5-year-old boy who, he lives with his aunts. He doesn't have any technology. He has his dog. He lives in the woods. He's really, as Nils's character, he's really been burned a lot in his life, literally. And so I loved
And
playing
and and burned other characters, I would
and
add at this
burned other
point.
characters, right?
Quite
So
literally.
I didn't think about the just the handsomeness and the physicality and all that stuff. That's all just, that's direction, and that's like the slow motion camera and all that stuff. I think if you think about that stuff, then it plays. I think for him, playing his innocence and his wonderment and his commitment to keeping his town and everything, the stakes are so high. That is why that was an interesting part for me. Oh, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to ask about Percy, your character here, also, because let's just say he's a man with a secret. He runs a shop called The Closet. I have no idea what that secret could be going into the movie. But I ask about this because it would be very easy to make him into a very sort of broad kind of caricature, an offensive one at that. I mean, how do you, particularly as a queer performer yourself, take care so that doesn't happen, to make him funny to the audience without making him insulting to the audience?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question, because that was very much something that I reflected on myself, because I did not want the entire LGBTQ plus community to reach out and be like, you're bringing back gay rights by like 20 years. And I was really concerned about really ruffling up some feathers with the way I played the character. Yes, I do lean into my feminine side a lot more with the character. But I tried to do it in a way that was all-encompassing and loving. And my understanding of Percy is that he lives in in Yuletown where everything's kind of perfect. And in my mind, I don't think that he's necessarily that blocked by other people for who he is. I think that his interests might cause a conflict with some people within town, but I don't think it's ever been who he is as a human being that ever was in conflict with anybody in town.
Okay, so I don't want to keep you guys too much longer, but I was wondering, because this is a Christmas movie, if real quick, both of you could share some Christmas story or some Christmas tradition that you have in your family, something that you haven't shared with the public before, maybe.
I got one that jumps out immediately if I can jump on this, Cheyenne.
Please.
So I'm an immigrant. I moved to Canada from Norway many years ago. And one of the things that my parents were really keen on was making sure that we were like integrated into society. And so being Norwegian, we celebrate Christmas on the 24th in the evening before the 25th. And then, and so we started going to school, and we would hear stories from all these kids, and they were telling us how Santa was going to visit at night. We don't have Santa in Norway. And so, so we were told by all these kids that Santa comes visits. He's going to come down your chimney, and he's going to fill up your stockings with toys and presents and stuff. And so we came home to my parents, and we're like, guys, we're going to get stockings from Santa here. And they were like, oh, great, good. Yes, you are. You sure are. So 24th in the evening, we've gone to bed. My parents are sitting there with like a sherry or a scotch or whatever, and then they realized that they hadn't gotten anything for the stockings. And so in the middle of the night, this is 80s, so this was cool. Yeah. They left the house, left the kids at home in bed, went to the only thing that was open, which was like a corner shop, and just raided the corner shop of stationery, mandarin oranges, and some 5-cent candies. And they just filled up our stockings. And the next morning we woke up and we were like, another mandarin orange, great. So that's now become a tradition that we do get stockings on the 25th, and it's always full of mandarin oranges.
Cheyenne, what about you?
I grew up in northern Idaho, very, very poor, very rural, no indoor plumbing and an outhouse and the whole thing. And also my parents were very religious, so Christmas was never about Santa. It was always about Jesus. I remember I don't know, this just popped into my head when Nils was talking. We did celebrate Christmas, but it was really just about the stockings. We had stockings on the chimney, and I remember thinking, I'm probably not going to get much cool stuff because I know my parents don't have a lot of money, and I'd heard about Santa, but I knew that wasn't really a thing. And I remember waking up at 2 a.m, hearing something, and I went and crept. My parents had this little spiral staircase made out of wood that my dad built, and I was sneaking, and I saw them, and they had everything laid out, and they were stuffing our stockings with little teeny things, but it was just so heartwarming to see them putting so much care into it, and they were giggling and talking back and forth, and I knew that it meant so much to them to make it a special day for us. And so that's what I do with my kids now. It's not about how much stuff, but it's just about the little tiny special things. And yeah,